Hello everybody. Welcome again to my sessions on financial literacy. This is Jyotirmayi Pula. I work as an IT software architect in an MNC in Bangalore, and these video recordings are meant for financial education for students who are from high school or from junior college. I have already taken a session on financial literacy where I introduced the concepts and I also talked about different modes of earning money. Today we talk about budgeting. Let's start. So just a small recap on the different aspects of finance that we have already spoken in my last video. The link is given in the comments down below. I talked about earning money, and different aspects of finance include earning money, budgeting. If you're earning money and you're budgeting for something, you're basically spending on something. There are financial decisions where you want to invest, how much do you want to invest, what was my future goal, and for that future goal, how much do I invest as on today, and what money would it accumulate after some years, etc. is financial decisions. Finance portfolio is your total income and total expenditures with all your savings and everything together as far as money goes into it. Banking services, we spoke about different banking services like savings accounts, etc., demat accounts, etc. We already spoke about it in my previous video. We also talked about savings. We also talked about investments and how different types of investments one can do, etc. We also spoke about loans and credit cards and what is the limits and what is the limits for spending on your credit cards and repayment of money, whatever you loan, whether it's in a credit card or whether it is on a bulk amount from any banking or financial institute, and we pay interest. So this is in short a recap of all the different aspects of finance. Today we are going to talk a lot more about budgeting. Let's start budgeting. So let me touch base upon the most important aspects of budgeting. One is net income. I will be talking in depth in my next slide about net income, but it is in short all the income, all your earnings together come together, and whatever are your expenditures, total income, gross income minus all the expenditures becomes your net income. Then you need to look at financial decisions about where you are spending, how you are spending, how much are you spending. We will talk in depth about it, and we also will talk about future goals, that is your finance goals, nothing else, but we are only talking about financial literacy here, so it's always about finance goals. The next part is if you are having a goal for in future, for example, your wedding or your college education or your higher education, you want to go abroad and study, etc., then you need to plan and save for that goal. And your living choices, again, we will talk about each one of these aspects in depth in the further slides, but your living choices, needs versus wishes. Needs is some essentials that you need to survive and to live a good living, and wishes or wants is basically something that you really want. A luxury beyond your essentials is a wish. I wish to live in a big apartment on 19th or 20th floor, which is going to cost me more than me living on a ground floor flat or an apartment. Land would cost me a lot more than buying a flat, for example. I would want a diamond necklace rather than just a normal chain, for example, which is not a need, it is actually a wish. So let's get into each of these aspects at depth, but I hope you all understand what are the different basic aspects of budgeting. Let's talk about net income. Now, net income, as I have said in my previous slide, is all about your total income, gross total income, minus all kinds of expenditures, is becoming your net income. Net income is the income that you have in hand for spending on whatever you want to spend it on. But that's your net cash in your hand. Even if though it is saved in your savings account, it's just a place where you kept your money, but end of the day, that's all you have for spending. Yes, of course, if you can take a loan and you want to repay the loan in a short period or a longer period at a regular interval with some money every month. Having said that, other than that, you still have to repay your loan from the net income that you have. So let's talk about what is this net income. Now, your income or your gross total income can be a regular income like salary or some profits or turnarounds from your businesses, etc. Your other incomes can also include from your rents or some kind of a fixed income that you keep getting as an interest on your FD. For example, FD is a fixed deposit account that you keep in your bank or any other financial institute, but you get a regular interest on that. For example, these are other incomes. Capital gains is basically you have bought some stocks or you bought some kind of debentures or you have bought some mutual funds, etc. And you're getting some kind of a capital gain over your investment. That is also part of your income. And if you have another family member in your family who is also an earning member of the family, then the total income of your household becomes your income plus all the rents, etc., and all the capital gains from all your investments, plus also the other members' income together becomes your total gross income of your family, as an individual family where probably you're a wife and a husband, or you two sisters or two brothers who are earning along, or your father and you are earning, for example. So total income becomes this, minus the income taxes or any other kinds of taxes that you need to pay. Fixed expenditure, for example, house rents, petrol, gas, electricity bills, or your transportation, your any like school fee, for example, or medical expenses. Like your older parents or grandparents at home have regular medical expenses on their medicines, etc. These are all known and almost fixed expenditures. It's not that all of a sudden you will have a spike on that, but you already know that end of the month you need to pay this much, or when the income comes into your, or you get your salary, you end up paying this much for your loan or anything like that. So these are fixed, almost fixed expenditures. Needn't always be exactly penny to penny or paise to paise the same amount, but yes, they're almost fixed expenditures. Insurances, loans, etc., that you have taken and you're paying some kinds of premiums, etc., also is an expenditure. So your total net income equals the total gross income minus all the expenditures which are going out. So that becomes your net income of the household. And you should know your regular net income throughout the year for you to plan how much you can save, how much you earn, and what you can spend and what you cannot spend and compromise in your life. So net income is a very important aspect of budgeting that you really need to understand. Let's go to the next slide. Now, let's talk about financial goals. Financial goals at a bottom line are divided into three different parts. One is a short-term, a mid-term goal, and a long-term goal. Now, what comes as a short-term goal? Anything from a few days, right from tomorrow, to a few days, to a few months, and probably end of this year, for example, come as part of your short-term goals. For example, there's an emergency fund, or you're taking a new place to stay. Your rent payments, for example, have increased because your old place is smaller than the new place, and you have already planned to stay in a newer place or a bigger space because all your parents or somebody else is coming and living with you together and you want a bigger space. So the rent payment has increased has to be planned. It has to go out of your income. Insurance payments, for example, for saving some tax, you have taken a new insurance policy, or you have taken a new mutual fund that is exempted from tax. So those kind of things come under short term. And for example, you want to travel to a place. I don't want to travel to, say, Europe trip after 20 years. I would like to travel probably by next year. And I want to save money for traveling to Europe. So those kind of things come under short term. Anything from, and these budgets for these short term goals are always minimal. They are not way huge. So they are anything from small funds and small amount of time. That is why they are called short term. Now let's talk about midterm. The midterm is something like I want to buy a car in the next 5 years. I want to build my own house in, say, next 5, 6, 7 years. I want to finish the loan that I have taken on my house. I mean, I've built a house and I've taken a bank loan for it. And I want to close the loan, which means I want to pay up the loan in the next 5 years. This can be my target. So these kinds of targets are mid money, so mid budgeted money, and they are not very, very long term, and they're not very short term either. If they're not, we're not talking about 3 years, and we're not talking about 20 or 30 years. We're talking about anything between 10 years, 7, 8 years to 10 years, and a mid-term budget as well. That is why they are called mid-term financial goals. Now let's talk about long-term financial goals. Let's say you're a student, for example, just out of college, and you're just about to get into a job. You are just starting your career, be it a business or a job, but you're just starting your career. And you're looking for your retirement fund. You're looking for something like you want to get married down the line 5 years later, and you want to have a kid, say 7 years later or 10 years later. So 12 years later, your kid is about to go to school, for example, and you want to start saving for your kid's school as well. I don't know what your goal would be, but anything like 15 years, 20 years, 30 years goals, financial goals that you may have, are all called long term. I want to have a beach house when I retire, and I want to have a big farmland on my countryside place with some 10 acres of land, and I want to do farming when I grow old. So these are called something from long-term financial goals. And long-term financial goals is not just the term, it is not the period of time, it is also about money. You have to save huge money as compared to midterm or short term. So in short, your goals or what you want in your future can be divided into three terms: short term, midterm, and long term. Short term, usually small period of time with smaller amounts. Midterm is usually a mid size, like 7, 8, 10 years of time frame with a mid budget range as well. It's more than short term goal money that you require, but it is still lesser than the long term goal money that you would require. Long term usually is like 20 plus years. We are talking anything around 17, 18, 20 years, 25, 30 years types. And here also the budget that you're talking about in the long-term financial goals is usually very huge. Hope you understood all. How do you want to think about your financial goals and what comes under what kind of a goal, and how you need to save, or how much you need to save. Let's go ahead. Since, as I said, the slides or the session or discussion is targeted towards high school students or just college out or junior college students. So you're just starting your career, or you're just starting your financial planning, in your first time earners and spenders as well. Nonetheless, you have never earned, you might have spent your pocket monies, but now you are earning and you want to save, you have started your life. So there is a budget rule. It's called thumb rules for how much do I save, what do I save, how much do I spend, what should I do. So it's called 50-30-20 budget rule. And out of your net income, it is said that 20% need to go straight away into savings. And the rule is you do the savings first, then your needs come, which is your essentials for your life to survive. And the third comes wants. Wants is anything like your entertainment, you want to hang out with your friends, go to a bar and have a drink, or you are going to a movie, or you are going to travel plan, or anything like that is all wants. Your hobbies, for example, while you're working, you want to paint, or you want to learn a keyboard, or you want to dance, go learn salsa, for example. These are all wants. Now, 20% should be your savings, and savings can be for your long-term goals, for your midterm goals, or for your short-term goals. But end of the day, you should have planned for long, mid, as well as short-term. Long-term goals take highest priority amongst your savings, but 20% of your net income first goes into savings. So with the remaining 80%, you divide that into needs and wants. Needs is something that is bare essential for you to survive, for you to take care of your family, for you and your family to survive. It includes housing, food, utilities and healthcare, insurance, your electricity bill payments, your credit card payments, etc., whatever are your basic needs to survive in this earth comes as 50% needs. The remaining 30%, as I explained, it can go into your wants. It can be a trip. It can be anything that you want to fund for yourself to live a luxurious life, or you're fulfilling your dreams on a very, very short-term goals. That can be your wants. Now, if you are going beyond 50% into your needs, then you need to cut short your life, and you need to see whether you're really spending on something that's needful for your life, or you're actually converting your wants into needs and you're terming them as needs. So wherever your budget goes beyond 50% on your needs, you need to relook, recheck, re-verify where you are spending. Write it down on a piece of paper every month and see whether it's a need or a want. And if it's becoming a need, then you need to figure out how to earn more, or how to budget it within 50%, etc. Or you need to cut short on your wants and push it into needs. But as a thumb rule, start with 20% savings, 50% needs, and 30% wants. This rule is called 50-30-20 rule, and this is a very good place to start if you are just starting your life and your financial portfolio. Hope you understand. Thank you. Now, let's talk about Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is one of the most famous American budgeter, individual financial planner, and he says a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went, which actually says that budgeting is all about understanding how much money you have and where you are spending it, rather than just spending it off and wondering, oh, where did my money go? I earn a lot, but I don't have any money left. There is a common feedback that I hear from most employees of my age who earn a bomb, and they still say, by the time the month actually starts, I get a salary on 1st, and by 5th or 10th, all my savings are gone. My bank balance becomes zero. I don't know where the money goes. That's a really very pathetic statement to give. You should know where your money goes, how much it goes, and where exactly on which date it goes, and how your financial future is all dependent on the budgeting that you do as on today. So happy budgeting, kids. All the best.